You find your life path number, you read the description, and for the first time you feel seen. It's like someone finally gets you. That's the initial comfort of numerology. It gives you a map. But here's the problem most people never see coming. You start using that map as your permanent identity. You stop exploring. You build a cage out of your own numbers. And you get stuck. In this video, I'll show you how to use numerology as the powerful starting point it is, and then move beyond it into real growth. Because the map is not the territory, right? We are pattern-seeking creatures. Our brains are wired to find meaning. So when numerology gives you a system, life path, pinnacles, challenge numbers, it feels incredibly satisfying. It's like putting together pieces of puzzle about yourself. I remember when I first discovered my pinnacle cycles. It explained why certain years felt so different. One cycle was all about learning and gathering information. Another was about building foundations. It gave me context. It made sense of my past in a way that felt logical. And that's the initial power of it. It provides a framework. You look at your chart and you think, okay, this is why I am the way I am. It gives you a language for your experiences. That clarity is addictive. It feels like you have unlocked a secret code to your life. But this is where the trap begins. That clarity becomes a comfort zone. You start to mistake the description for your destination. You think, this is me, this is my story. And you stop asking the bigger questions. You stop challenging yourself. Because why would you? The numbers have spoken, right? The system feels so right because it's built on patterns that do resonate. But the danger is believing the map is the entire territory. Your potential is so much bigger than any number can describe. The comfort you feel at the beginning can become the very thing that limits you later. That's the pivot point. That's where most people get stuck. And that's exactly what we are going to break down next. So you have this map, it feels good. But now you have to learn how to read it correctly. Because if you misread it, you will walk right into one of these five traps. And I see people fall into this every single day, right? First trap is fatalism. This is the "it's written in my chart" excuse. You tell yourself, I can't start a business because my life path isn't a 1 or an 8. Use the number as a reason for inaction. That's completely not true. Numerology shows you tendencies. It shows you your natural flow. It doesn't show you your limits. Your energy evolves through your awareness. The number is a starting point, not a finish line. If you believe it's a limit, it becomes one. That's the first and biggest mistake. Second trap is decision paralysis. You start waiting for the perfect number day. I launch my project only when the numbers align. You become a spectator of your own life, waiting for some external sign to give you permission. Listen, numbers can guide rhythm. They can suggest a favorable timing. But movement is what activates destiny. Action creates that reality. Waiting for perfect alignment is just a fancy form of procrastination. You have to make a move, right? Third trap is identity labeling. This is when you use the number as a personality excuse. I'm just a 7, so I'll always be distant and analytical. Or I'm a 2, so I have to be people pleaser. You put yourself in a box and then you decorate the box. You stop trying to grow beyond the description. Numerology describes patterns. It doesn't create prisons. The moment you say, I am this number, you give away your power to change. You are not a number. You are a consciousness that has certain patterns. Big difference. Fourth trap is projection. You start judging other people through their numbers. Oh, he's 5, he's probably unreliable. Or she's a 4, she must be too rigid. You stop seeing the actual person in front of you and you see a caricature based on their chart. This is so dangerous because it kills a real connection. The whole point of this awareness is to create more compassion, more understanding, not to give you another reason to put people in boxes. If you are using numerology to judge others, you've completely missed the point. Fifth trap is escapism disguised as spirituality. This is the numbers will decide for me attitude. You use numerology to avoid responsibility or the discomfort of uncertainty. You don't make a choice because you are waiting for the universe to send you a sign through a number sequence. True self-discovery doesn't happen inside a comfortable structure. It happens when you step into the unknown. It happens through presence and conscious choice. Using any system, including numerology, to avoid making choices is spiritual bypassing. It's not enlightenment, it's fear. You get a point? These traps turn a useful tool into a cage. And the scary part is you don't even realize you're building the cage yourself. You think you are being spiritual, but you are just building a more sophisticated prison, right? I learned this the hard way. There was a period where I was deep into my numbers. I had a chart, I understood my cycles, I knew when my pinnacles were shifting, and for a while it worked. It gave me a sense of control. But then I hit a wall. I was facing a big decision, a risky move in my business. And according to my numbers, the timing wasn't ideal. My challenge number was active. My personal year was in a transitional phase, so I waited. I delayed the decision. I used the numerology as my reason to play it safe. And during that waiting period, I started looking at other systems. I looked at my astrological transits, and they were telling a completely different story. They were suggesting it was a time of expansion, of taking bold action. I was getting conflicting information. And that was the moment it clicked for me. I realized I was using numerology as a comfort zone. I was hiding behind the bad timing excuse because I was scared. The numerology gave me a logical, spiritual sounding reason to avoid the discomfort of the risk. But the astrology was pointing towards the growth I needed to do. That was the insight. No single system can capture the full complexity of human potential. They are all just maps. Different maps use different languages, numbers, planets, elements, but the territory is your actual life, your consciousness, your choices. When you get conflicting messages from different maps, it forces you to look inward. You have to ask, what do I feel is right? What action aligns with my deepest intention? That was the shift for me. From seeking external validation from a system to cultivating internal awareness. The numbers became a reference point, not a command. They were suggestions, not rules. The moment you make that shift, you break free. You stop being a passenger reading a map and you become the driver choosing the destination. The system isn't the problem. The problem is when you make the system the final authority, when you give your power away to a calculation. That's the trap. And that's exactly what we need to move beyond, right? So how do you actually make that shift? How do you move from reading the map to driving the car? You need practice. Something simple you can start this week, not another complicated system. Just 3 steps that bring the awareness from your chart into your actual life, right? First step is shadow work reflection. This is where you take the journaling beyond the number. The prompt is simple. What parts of me do I reject or excuse using my number? You see, your life path number often describes your greatest strength, but every strength has a shadow. A 8 might be a powerful leader, but the shadow is being domineering. A 2 might be a harmonizer, but the shadow is being a doormat. The number gives you the clue, but the real work is integrating that shadow, not just acknowledging it. The goal here is integration, not escape. Don't just write, I am 4, so I am too rigid. Ask yourself, when does my need for structure become a limitation? What am I afraid of if I lose on control? Do this for 10 minutes each morning. The number is the starting point for the question, but the answer comes from your honest self-reflection. That's how you turn a label into a tool for growth. Second step is an embodiment practice. This is crucial. Numerology is a mental framework. It lives in your head. You have to bring it down into your body. The technique is a 5-minute daily somatic check-in. Just sit quietly, feel your breath, then scan your body. Don't think about your number. Just feel the actual energy. Is it restless? Is it calm? Is it heavy? The goal is to feel how your energy actually moves, not how you think it should move based on your chart. Your body knows the truth. Your mind creates the stories. When you connect to the physical sensation, you bypass the mental label. You might be a 5 but feel completely stagnant, or you might be a 4 but feel a surge of spontaneous energy. That's the real data. The chart is the theory. Your body is the experiment. Third step is the aligned action challenge. This is where you reclaim your agency. The prompt is, what is one small, uncomfortable decision I've delayed because I was waiting for the right timing? It could be sending that email, having that difficult conversation, or starting that project you've been brainstorming. The goal is to act from awareness, not prediction. You've done the reflection. You've checked in with your body. Now you act, not because the numbers are perfect, but because you are clear. This breaks the spell of decision paralysis. You prove to yourself that your consciousness is more powerful than any calculation. You move from being a spectator of your destiny to the author of it. This 3-step practice reframes everything. Numerology becomes the map that gets you to the starting line. But the race is run by you. Your awareness, your choices, your embodied experience. That's the journey, right? Now, as you start this work, you are going to look for guidance, and you need to be careful. The online spiritual space is full of well-meaning people, but also full of traps. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I'm here to give you a framework to vet the advice you are taking, because bad guidance will keep you stuck in the very cage we are trying to break out of, right? The first red flag is when a guide speaks in absolutes. If someone tells you your life path number means you'll always struggle with money, or you can't be successful in relationships because of your challenge number, run. That's fatalism disguised as wisdom. No ethical guide would ever claim to know your limits. They should be pointing you towards your potential, not your limitations. The second red flag is fear-based messaging or creating dependency. If a guide makes you feel like you can't navigate your life without their weekly readings or their specific system, that's a problem. Healthy guidance empowers you to trust yourself. It gives you tools and encourages you to use them on your own. If you feel more fearful or confused after a reading than you did before, that's a major sign you're with the wrong person. The third red flag is claiming exclusive truth. Anyone who says they have higher access to divine information that nobody else has, or that their system is the one true path, is selling you something. Usually it's a product or a perpetual membership. Truth is not owned, it's discovered. A good guide will acknowledge the limitations of their own system and encourage you to explore other perspectives. The fourth red flag is encouraging passivity. This is the don't act until the universe gives you a sign advice. It sounds spiritual, but it's just another way to keep you stuck. The universe responds to action. A real guide will challenge you to make conscious choices, to take risks, to learn through experience. They won't tell you to wait for a magical alignment. So, what's the healthy framework? Before you take any spiritual advice, ask yourself these questions. Does this guide help me to think for myself? Or do they want me to depend on their interpretations? Do I feel empowered and capable after listening? Or do I feel small and confused? Is the information grounded in real-world growth and action? Or is it focused on abstract predictions and dependencies? The test is simple. After interacting with a guide, you should feel more confident in your own ability to navigate your life. You should feel inspired to take action, not to wait for permission. The goal is to become your own authority. Any guide who supports the journey is worth listening to. Any guide who undermines it is leading you astray. You get the point? This is about your empowerment, not their follower count, right? So here's the ultimate insight. The moment you truly understand your number, you are no longer bound by it. That's the paradox. Numerology reveals patterns of potential, but your consciousness is what chooses which potential to activate. It's not a prophecy, it's a mirror. The map shows you the terrain, but you are the one who decides where to walk. That's the shift from identity-based spirituality to evolution-based spirituality. You stop being the number and start using it, right? So that's it. Numerology is the first step, not the final answer. Your awareness transcends any number. See you in the next video.